There's a tip that is very simple to write a really good essay in just half an hour, even a maximum of 40 minutes, which is what you get if you're in a standardized examination like the SAT, the GRE, or if you're in an AP class, or if you are, like in a final exam in an English class at the university, and they give you very little time, and you're expected to write a really good high caliber essay during that short amount of time. Um, and usually, in English classes, even in essay writing classes, what they do to prepare people for that is they just give them training. You write a lot of essays in a short amount of time to get trained, and they teach you ways of organizing it. So methods or tactics of organization, like for example, a 5 paragraph essay. You're gonna begin with an intro. You're gonna use 3 reasons. They're gonna be your 3 body paragraphs, and then you're gonna end with a conclusion that reiterates all of that and wraps it up. They're gonna tell you, oh, you're gonna use compare and contrast. You're gonna use that kind of thing. You're gonna use basically they will just teach you that. They will make you write a lot of essays so you get training in doing it, and they will teach you like methods of organization. But I have never heard anyone mention what I did, what I still do. If I had to write essays like under a time limit for an examination, for a class, anywhere. It doesn't have to be at the university. It could be at high school if you have an AP English class. Which in the one I had, we did it like that. We will get 40 minutes, an essay topic, and at the end of the 40 minutes, the teacher will pick up the essay, and that was it. There was no more time. So you had to be done by then, and you were graded in a scale of 9 very rigorously. So you had to, even if you did a great essay, you get like an 8, and the essay was great. Like the 9s were reserved for like something not perfect, because no essay is really perfect. If you think about this as an author, which is what I'm kind of like doing right now as a hobby, but I do it pretty seriously. I do it with expectation of very high quality from what I do. There's no perfect essay or book or chapter or whatever, but you can get to a territory where anyone who reads it considers it really good, at least, even though it's not perfect. So I want to share this tip, which is what I did, what I will still do right now, and it is a psychological tip. I've never heard any teacher mention this, and I think it's very good. So let's get down to it. The tip doesn't have anything to do with writing, by the way. It's all psychological. So you're going to imagine that you have to give, or that let's say that the 30 minutes, the half an hour for the essay began right now. So right now you're going to put yourself in a mindset that you're giving a speech, a short speech, something like 15 minutes maximum, like those TEDx speeches. So you're there giving a speech, so you're talking, you're not writing, and you have an audience watching you. And there's, like a clock, you need to do it in less than 15 minutes. And the people are going to grade you, which could be teacher if you are, doing an examination timed like the GRE, SAT, something like that. They're going to be, the people that grade that examination. They're at the back of the audience at the end. You can barely see them. And everybody else in the front, up to the first row, they're normal people you may know. Maybe people, from your school, from your university, normal people, everyday people. Doesn't matter if you know them or not, but they are not specialized graders or teachers or specific people in particular. They're just random people that are sitting in the audience. And you have to talk to them about this topic that you were given in 15 minutes. and they tell you begin now. So you have to begin now. These are your 15 minutes. We know very well that in a speech, when you're writing an essay, you can stop and think, and you can spend minutes thinking, but the time is running. But when you're giving a speech, even if you're not ready for the speech, everyone, the person there standing giving the speech, knows very well that there's a very small amount of time that you have to basically stop and think, and if you do it for longer than that, it's gonna look bad to the audience. People in the audience are gonna look at you like there's something wrong there. So even people who are not ready for the speech, they don't stop for longer than 10 seconds. Even 10 seconds looks, like pretty long. Like usually people just stop for like 5 seconds, they think their idea, and then they continue talking. And it doesn't matter if they're giving a great speech or if they were not even ready and they have to say something there. So if you get into this mindset of I am giving a speech through this essay, so you're basically writing the speech in whatever number of paragraphs you need, which I would recommend if you only have half an hour. If you only have half an hour, I would do 4 paragraphs, like an intro. So we're beginning this speech like this with these ideas. But I have one idea that is pretty strong for this topic. We're gonna cover it next. And I have another idea that's pretty strong for this topic after that. And then we're closing the speech like this in the 4 paragraphs. So basically, I would recommend 4 paragraphs, but thinking about it, visualizing it, and thinking about it as you write it, as if you were giving on the page a speech, and as if it was happening for real and not just writing it on paper, but actually giving it to an audience there with people listening to what you're writing. So what's going to happen with this is that if you manage to get yourself in that mindset, which is something, if you think about this advice that I'm giving, it is psychological. If you put yourself in that frame of mind, like I'm giving a speech, I'm not writing an essay, you will be able to do it faster, because when you're giving a speech, you cannot stop for long. You have very little time to talk, and you typically only have 15 minutes, not longer than that. If it is a presentation in a class, if it is a speech in front of an audience, but it depends what speech it is. But for something like what we're thinking about here, which is an essay, it won't be longer than 15 minutes. So if you put yourself in that mindset, number one, you're already in the right mindset to be able to finish it. It doesn't matter if it is wonderful or just okay, but to be able to finish it in less than half an hour, which sounds extremely difficult at first, but if you're in that mindset, you have a much higher chance, because you're not in a half an hour mindset to express what you can say about the idea to the public. You are in a 15-minute mindset with a speech. So with that, you're winning on time, which is supremely necessary for this. Otherwise, you might not even finish, and if you don't finish, it's basically a failed essay. Even if let's say you did like 70% of it, even if that 70% is great, the graders are not gonna like it, the teachers are not gonna like it. They see not finishing as a big negative there. So if you have this mind frame for it, this psychological state when you're thinking about it and doing it, even though you're writing it on the page, you're thinking, okay, so I'm here on the stage, say this, now this, they're listening to me. You're gonna be able to do this with far less pressure than if you're thinking half an hour essay. Oh, this guy or this woman, this professor or teacher is the grader. That's something else that matters, because what happens is that if you only think of that person as the grader and you write the essay for him or for her only because you know that they're grading it, it's not that that is a bad thing necessarily, but you're not gonna write something truly great if it is only focused on one person. But when you think about it, like if you were giving a speech in front of an audience at a theater-like location, and that grader is at the back, so they are there listening to you. You do have to think a little bit about them, but you're not just thinking about them because you have like, like let's say 500 other people in front really seeing you, and they're anyone basically, any random person listening to you. When you have that mind frame, you tend to give a speech and therefore write an essay that is better for anyone who reads it. That's something that is also a key to writing not just a great essay, but also a great story, which is more of my specialty. A great series, a great book, even a great article. You're not just thinking about one person or one type of person, but you're thinking about this is good, this is useful, entertaining, thought provoking, or this is something good for anyone. Naturally, if it is a topic that is very specific, like let's say you're doing like a science related essay or article or even a textbook, like a book, it could be a book. In that case, it does make sense to think of all your audience there, or the people reading as just students, teachers, or science people. It makes sense in that context. But if it is something very general, like one of these cliche essay topics that they may throw at you, like like what makes you happy, or explain something that will make many people happy, that kind of thing, which kind of like it relates to anyone. So it doesn't have to be a student specifically, or a science person specifically, or a writer. It can be anyone. In that case, you don't limit your mind frame of who is the audience that is watching you, listening to you, or who's going to read what you're writing. But remember, if you're writing it and you want to finish in half an hour, and you want to do a great essay that flows, the idea is not thinking I'm writing an essay. The idea is thinking I am talking here to the people that are going to see this. And you can write it and do it as if you were really on a stage talking to them, like a speech basically. So that's essentially my tip. It's very simple. It's not anything that is about writing specifically. Like, I'm not telling you do this so you can spell better, or you can write better sentences with better transitions and better paragraphs, or so that you can organize all that better. This is really about putting your mind in the correct mental frame so that you can produce a good essay. And in my opinion, or what I did myself to get it done the way I did it, which worked for me back then when I was a student, was not thinking about writing an essay in 30 minutes, because that would typically set me off for not failure, but not to be at my best. Because then number one thing that was in my mind is I don't have time to write a great essay in 30 minutes. It's too little. So changing that mindset to, okay, you have to give a 50-minute speech about this topic in front of all these people. Can that be done in 30 minutes? Yes, definitely. 15-minute speech, like a presentation basically, in 30 minutes? Of course it can be done. You have less time than that for the speech, so you can do it. And it's obviously it takes practice, just like everything else. If you have never done it, putting yourself in that mind frame, maybe you need to do at least 2 or 3 essays with 2 or 3 different topics to practice. But eventually you're gonna see that it helps. So that was what I used for myself. If I wrote an essay, which I did a few times, actually it might have been several times, because I had a class where they liked doing that, like once every 2 weeks, like making you write like a 40-minute essay, and they would grade it pretty tough. So it had to be done like that. I did it like that. Um, Another good advice is, for the critical writing and critical reading, actually critical reading. That critical writing is what I cover now, writing the essay. But critical reading is when you read passages and you have to answer difficult multiple choice questions. Um, in this case, you're not giving any speech, but something that really helped me a lot was as I read the passage, instead of just running like crazy trying to read it as fast as possible to be able to answer the questions, I will make sure that as I was reading it, I was, seeing like making up an image in my mind, basically imagining the, that I'm seeing what the passage is telling you. So if you're reading the passage and you read 2 3 sentences, one paragraph, and you haven't been able to form in your mind an image of what they are telling you, you're not understanding anything. So there's no point in reading faster, and keep reading faster if you're not understanding anything. But if you read one sentence and you can already form an image of what you're reading, and you keep going with the other one, and you're doing it fast, but you're seeing what is happening, what they're telling you clearly, then when you get to the end, since you formed, like a little video in your mind of what they were telling you, you don't need to reread it, unless they are asking something specifically, like in this sentence and in this paragraph, this and that, then you have to go back. But if they're asking you general questions about what happened with this guy, what happened with that girl, why was the dynamic like that between the two, you're going to remember, and more likely than not, you will be equipped to answer correctly, especially if you imagine the scenario correctly based on what you were reading, because then you're going to remember. You're not going to forget. Like if you just rush reading through it and you didn't really visualize what you were reading, that means that you didn't understand it. So when you get to the questions that are going to test your understanding, you don't remember because you didn't visualize it. You didn't see what they were telling you. So these it's all psychological. Like with the essay, I recommend imagining that you're actually giving speech with people there listening to you and all that. That doesn't have anything to do with writing, but it puts you in the right mind frame to succeed with it, to do well. With the critical reading, visualize and create the images of what you're reading, what is happening based on the reading in your mind. And what's going to happen is that you're going to be in the right mindset to answer correctly because you remember what they were giving you there. And you actually engaged yourself with it. You didn't just rush reading like crazy without understanding anything. You engaged your mind with it by imagining, visualizing what they were telling you. So that helped me a lot. I used to do that. Obviously I wasn't perfect. Like I wasn't one of these people that would answer the questions correctly or anything like that, but I think I did pretty well. And those were the strategies that I will use for the critical writing or the essay writing, writing a great essay in half an hour, that kind of thing. And the other one, the critical reading. I did pretty well with both of them. Honestly, I think I'm a lot better, even better, writing series, writing chapters, stories. But I think I might be able to help, a lot of people with these very simple tips. They are simple. They are, I'm not telling you, you need to practice this now with, 20 essays, so you need to just, it's a new way of thinking. Maybe you were not thinking about, tackling these things like this, which is how I did it. So now you know. Now you have this tip in your arsenal so you can write better essays. Remember to practice, obviously. If you have never used it, maybe the first time It doesn't come fast, but if you get used to doing these things, and you practice it, you're gonna see that it helps. It helped me a lot, and therefore I think that it can help you too, regardless of who you are. If you think of writing a great essay quickly as giving a short speech, it's gonna be easier to finish it and to actually write a good essay because you're in the mindset of good short speech, and the speech flows a lot faster. Um, Likewise, with the critical reading, if you're in the mindset of I am visualizing this story they're giving me, or this fragment that they're giving me, because it's usually a fragment, they don't give you the whole thing, and you visualize it correctly, you engage yourself so well with it, and you don't need to go back and reread or remember. You already have it clear, so you can answer, or you're at least in a better position to answer very difficult questions about it that are going to test your understanding. Um, and that's pretty much it for this. So I'm planning to next make the first math related video. So I'm gonna be more about math here. But since I'm also involved with the writing of series, I thought maybe I can give this little tips for writing good essays quickly and for the critical writing session, because those were the things that I would do. Like, they seem very simple to me, and maybe a lot of people don't even know them or don't practice them at all, and maybe they see this, oh, how do I finish an essay in half an hour? It's too difficult, I don't have time. So if you look at it like that, you're gonna be able to finish. And same thing with the other tip for the critical reading. If you imagine, visualize what you're reading, guess what? Number one, you're understanding it. Number two, you're not gonna have as much need of going back and rereading anything, so you save more time. So hopefully these tips help you, like they helped me. They were what I used to do to tackle these things when I had to do them as a student. And so yeah, so not really about essays and writing. Well, I am about writing, but not writing essays really. I am more about writing series, science fiction action series. So I'm gonna finish this tip video with the URL for that, so you can actually read what I'm really good at, which are the series. So go to wattpad.com/user/Bulgarian creator with a B. So right now I have the username in only two places, which are wattpad.com, and the other place is the PlayStation Network, basically PSN. I also have a lot of VR, not really hardcore. I don't consider myself too advanced on that, but some are pretty difficult things. I have a lot of VR gaming videos here too, but I don't really want to make this just a channel on that. It's really more like an intellectual channel. So I'm going to begin with the math videos, math tutoring videos next, and yeah, I'm not gonna quit the other videos. I might still upload, maybe once per week, something like that, like an interesting, thought-provoking talk, or if I have some good tip that I can give here, some good advice, I will share with you. Like, for example, one that I can do is, what are the things that you should look at when you visit someone's house, or you go to someone's apartment for the first time? How can you know who they are based on what they have there? I wrote an essay about that, an article about that a long time ago, but I still have it saved, so I might just read through it and see the good ideas I had there. I think it was a top 10. Like I did a top 10 there. So I will share them with you, um, like in a video. Who doesn't want to know what you need to know to be able to understand who someone is for real based on what they own? And this will be useful for anyone. I think it's another psychological topic if you think about it. That one is not philosophical. I have some really good philosophical talks, but that's psychology if you think about it. So that's it. I'm gonna leave this one here. I hope these tips help you. Check out the other videos that I have. You might find something else interesting. I'm gonna be more into math videos though. My writing related videos, I think they're gonna be tackling the writing of series more than the writing of essays. But I felt, you know what, I can give one good tip for writing an essay quickly and for doing the critical reading session and like standardized tests, which are pretty difficult. And I've never heard anyone saying this. I've never heard anyone giving this advice. And this is how I always did it. I always did like that, even when I was younger, even since high school. Though I think I did this a lot more at the university. But yeah, now you know it, so you can use it too if you want. Have a nice day. I'm gonna leave it here.